Assalamu alaikum. This is Imran Nalawala of LaunchGood, and I'm joined by my co-host and co-founder of LaunchGood, Chris Laval. Chris, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Saran Gurman, I'm doing great, man. Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday, mashallah, mashallah. We got an amazing interview today. We have some special guests on for our live. And a quick introduction into Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is a global generosity movement unleashing the power of people and organizations to transform their communities and the world. And Chris, I'm going to pitch the first question to you before we have one of our special guests. How do you see the connection between Giving Tuesday and LaunchGood? Where's their overlap?
Well, obviously in donations, making donations online and giving. But I think at a more fundamental level, there's something really cool about Giving Tuesday, which is it's trying to shift the focus of society. Actually, do you know how Giving Tuesday was started?
I don't remember specifically. No.
There were like a small group of nonprofits in New York that were kind of put off by the fact that we had right after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, right? So it's like buy some stuff for yourself, and then we had Cyber Monday, so it's like buy some more stuff for yourself. And these nonprofits are like, man, these people are spending literally billions of dollars over this weekend, but in a very materialistic way. And could we shift the kind of perception that, hey, rather than spending so much on ourselves, could we encourage people to spend on others? So they invented this thing called Giving Tuesday. It was very informal at first, and it just picked up momentum. And like every year, quadrupled in its giving or something, and billions of dollars given now. And in the same way, LaunchGood, the way it was started was just a handful of Muslims, myself, Amani Kalawe, Omar Hamed, some of our early team. And it was this idea of like, hey, we have so many Muslims out there, so much potential. Can we activate that potential in a good way? And so Giving Tuesday did a great job with that for donations for nonprofits. And I pray that, inshallah, LaunchGood's done a good job of that for our ummah.
Inshallah, inshallah. And to learn a little bit more about what LaunchGood is doing specifically on Giving Tuesday, we have a representative of the business development team, Mr. Toronto himself, Mohsen Said. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, Imran. Thank you for having me. Jazakallah khair.
Well, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. This is a really exciting time, and I'm really happy to share, this platform with you guys, and to just share that Giving Tuesday is a great opportunity. Everybody's so excited, and this is the biggest day outside of the month of Ramadan. We don't get these opportunities often, and I wanted to just encourage every one of you out there, if there's a campaign that you've been waiting on, a water well that you wanted to make for your parents, something you wanted to do for your school teacher, something that you wanted to do for your Quran teacher, do it now. This is the perfect time to get started. Giving Tuesday is the biggest opportunity before this year ends. And, right now we're going to see a lot of people do, a lot of organizations work on their winter campaigns to wrap up the fiscal year. And so this is the right opportunity. You want to really tap into your resources. Everybody's sitting at home. It's cold out. Now it's already started snowing in Toronto. This is the time, we just had Thanksgiving. We're going to go into the holiday season very soon. This is the time to start asking your friends and family, those that are closest to you, to support a cause that you really care about. And that's really the message here. Giving Tuesday is a once in a year opportunity, and we don't want to miss it. And the best thing about Giving Tuesday on LaunchGood is that we have prizes throughout the day. We've given out so many prizes already, but the big prizes that are yet to come. We have an amazing leaderboard. We have more than $100,000 that we're giving away to support causes that you care about. So just, get on the platform and start a campaign. That's all I'm going to ask.
And just 10 seconds or less, Mohsen, how easy is it to start a campaign?
Oh man, it's super easy. If you know the organization that you care about, you go to their community page, you click start a campaign, everything is there already for you, and you go live. If it's a cause that you care about, there's only 2 questions that it asks to get started. How much do you want to raise, and what do you want to call your campaign? Once you're done that, every other detail is easy peasy, and you go live right away. And, if you let me know, if you reach out to me on Twitter or something, I'm going to be the first one to support your campaign. So there you go. That's another motivation for you to get started, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Mohsen, to you and the rest of the team for all the hard work that's gone into Giving Tuesday. And we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Sounds good. Imran Bhai, if I can
Yes,
add
of
just
course.
one quick plug-in, we have this 24/7 room right now called the Mission Control. That's where, you know, we're the Houston for all you space astronauts, right? Just come in if you have any questions, anything, any strategy questions, anything where you're stuck, go to launchgood.com/mission control and you'll find me there any time of the day.
Our pleasure to host you and work with you, my brother.
Thank you, bro. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Walaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right, now we're going to move on to our special guest. We have with us today Mohammed Faris, who is the founder and CEO of the Productive Muslim Company, a faith-based productivity and leadership training company based in the U.S. He is the author of The Productive Muslim, Where Faith Meets Productivity, and creator of the Barakah Journal. Without further ado, Mr. Mohammed Faris.
Assalamu alaikum. Hey, how's it going?
Alaikum.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
Good to be here. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for the work you're doing with Giving Tuesday. It's amazing. I was telling Chris a few years ago, the fact you guys put Giving Tuesday on the map is incredible. Like, I don't remember Giving Tuesday being a big thing for the Muslim community, but Launch Good team and all of you guys just literally put it on the map. So Jazakumullah khair, just opening the doors of khair for everyone to just contribute and be part of society. So Jazakumullah khair. Appreciate you all.
Wayak Mohammed, and I mean, we're going to go straight to it. You created this, or you authored this amazing article entitled 3 Unusual Ways of Giving on Giving Tuesday. So very quickly, what was the need for writing the article? And then we're going to go into the specifics, some amazing points that you highlighted in the article.
Yeah, I was thinking this whole theme of giving and generosity. And I remember the one person in my mind that whenever I grew up thinking was very generous. Yet at the same time, he wasn't that wealthy. In fact, he was actually quite a poor man, was my maternal grandfather. May Allah have mercy on him. And just growing up, just remembering he's being super generous. People would come to his house all the time. His house was filled with guests. He would like serve people. He would, if you have any issues, he'll be with you. Whether you are the handyman, the plumber, whether you are a big guest, your family, non-family, it's just that generosity. And it kind of made me this almost remember and think and almost remind myself that generosity is not just about wealth. Yes, wealth is a huge factor, and that's part of it. But it's more to that. And that's why I shared the article about there are unusual ways of giving, not just your wealth, but some precious resources you can give, regardless how financially wealthy you are.
And could you highlight some of those precious resources? You mentioned 3 specifically, and you did such a great job of highlighting them. I'm not going to spoil any of them, but there were some aha moments while reading it where I thought, I didn't even think about utilizing this strategy or technique. So can you start with one of them?
Absolutely. So I think the first one that comes to mind is energy, right? How much energy you give to others. Think about this. Normally, when you go home, especially after a long day's work, you go home and the energy level's really low, right? You're super tired. You're super cranky. You're not in a good mood. You just want to chill, relax. So normally, after giving 80% of energy at work, for most of us, you show up at home giving like the 10, 20% leftover energy. And then your kids, your family, that's what they see. They see that 20% of you. They don't see that energy that you kind of bring to work, that energy you bring to when you show up to your meetings or show up when you're meeting the client. So one of the questions I asked was, can we think about giving energy? Just giving energy to our family, giving energy to our neighbors, giving energy to our community, just like showing up with energy. We all know somebody who walks in the room and just light up the room, right? And someone who just walks in the room and drains the energy from the room.
You called it the Winnie and the Eeyore. Is that what you called it?
Tigger and Eeyore, right? Tigger walks in the room. Tigger walks in the room, everyone's bouncing around. Eeyore walks in the room like, oh man, it's like he just drains you. So it'll be interesting to see, how do you bring your energy, whether at work, whether your family? And that's the way of giving. I mean, can you just imagine being that person who ever remembers, like, oh my goodness, you might not be the person who gives that $25,000 check, but you walk into a room and you give so much energy that they'll remember you and they'll make a dua for you. And so that's a very powerful way of giving that I want people to remind myself and others about, inshallah.
Well, it reminds me of the even the verse in the Quran, don't I'm going to paraphrase it, feel free either to jump in with the real Arabic, even the meaning, but don't negate your good deeds by following up with reminders and things like that, right? That like the charity you give someone should make them feel good, not make them feel guilty. And I really think that speaks to the nature of what sadaqah is, like this, we call it charity, or we translate as charity. It's those good deeds that help one another, really. And it could be it could be a smile. Everyone knows that's very famous hadith that, even a smile can be sadaqah. But like, I love your article. It's the energy, the attention, and time, like these are all forms of sadaqah. And they should make the people that we spend time with feel better when we give them that sadaqah.
100%. And I love what you said, that idea of how we give stuff. Right now, giving choose, especially with online campaigns, when we give those charities and we support. And that's why one of the things I love about giving choose the launch good is the energy you guys bring to the whole giving, right? Those power hours, those free wild cards, like just check your Instagram. That energy is powerful because sometimes we go online, just hit donate and we forget about our donations. But when a campaign can galvanize the entire community, when everyone comes together so they can donate $1 so they can hit the leaderboard, that energy is powerful. So I feel like, that's a way of giving, which is very powerful and that's needed. Instead of just sometimes being this kind of boring charity, just click online and finish donation. Create that energy. And that's what I love at Launch Good. You guys create that energy around Ramadan, around Dhul Hijjah, around Rasul Week, and now, of course, Giving Tuesday, which is extremely powerful, inshallah.
You mentioned something really interesting in the article, and I loved how you phrased it. Blessed, undivided attention. And you were referring specifically to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So could you elaborate on what you meant by that phrase and then connect it to how we can utilize that technique in our daily lives?
Yeah, this is the mind-boggling productivity question, right? The idea of, normally we think of productivity as managing energy, focus, and time. But what if you have to give your focus and attention to so many people, right? And the example of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a prime example. He had a large family. He had lots of companions. Everyone wanted his attention. Yet we never hear in the seerah, we never hear a single hadith or a single one of his family members or companions ever complaining, Ya Rasulullah, you're too busy for us. Think about how much sometimes our family members complain about us, right? Our own children saying, Dad, you're so busy. Your husband, your wife says, you're so busy. But the fact not a single person complained, you might say, well, maybe they're being respectful, maybe they don't say that, but not a single person even mentioning the fact that he was too busy for us. And when you reflect on the seerah, and you reflect on his life, one thing that comes that is just mind-boggling is how he gave that super undivided attention. The one that way he's there fully. And I'll give you just a couple examples. For example, he was walking through the city of Medina, and a little girl will come and tug his shirt, Ya Rasulullah, come on, and show you something. Let's think about that. And imagine Chris, you're a CEO, right? You have president, you're running a major corporation or major organization, you're leading, you have major things you got to do. And somebody who, you think, well, maybe I'll ask somebody else to help them, or I'll delegate it perhaps. But they come and want your attention, and you leave all of what you need to do, and you drop that, and you give them that undivided attention for whatever amount of time they needed, and you carry on with your tasks. I mean, that is mind-boggling, because we feel like, no, I'm too busy, right? Sorry, I have to go to that meeting. Another example, again, when the Prophet Muhammad was sit with his wife, Aisha anha, and the fact that, for example, when she drinks from a cup, he would go and find where his lips touched the cup, and he'll drink the same spot. That attention, right? That focus, that just fills up the person for days. Even if they're busy, even if they're overwhelmed, just giving those moments of blessed, undivided attention can fill up the person regardless of if you're busy. So we need to kind of find those moments, especially for those of us who are overwhelmed with responsibilities, have many, many moving parts. When we spend time, can we give that focused attention and fill the cups of other ta'ala as part of our giving, inshallah?
What I realized with that in my own life, you can't give what you don't have, in a way, right? And actually, when you give people attention, in a way, you're giving them energy from yourself, and so you have to be able to manage your own energy if you want to really be your best with others. You have a really cool story in that blog post about one of the clients you coached with his daughter. I was hoping you could share that.
Yeah. So this man came up to me, goes, I'm struggling with my daughter. I'm really struggling. She's a teenager and we always have fights every day. So I just asked him, so what's your typical day look like? So this guy's, mashallah, he wakes up early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. He prays Fajr. He does all the stuff. He goes to work early. He's super productive at work. But when it comes to the end of the day, he's tired. He just wants to sit on the TV. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. He just wants to sit on the TV and just relax. And then that's when his daughter comes and they have arguments and something kicks off. And so I asked him, do you nap? And he's like, what? I'm like, just do you nap? He's like, no, of course I don't nap. I don't have time to nap. I've got work and all that. I'm like, listen, I just want you to nap every day for the next 2 weeks, 10, 20 minutes. That's all. All right. And just then tell me how he's relationship with your daughter. He's like, he was really confused at first. Like, why would I was like, okay, fine, sure. I mean, I've signed up for this coach. You might as well follow through. So he started napping. 2 weeks later, he calls me up, goes, this is crazy. But that 10, 20-minute nap gave me that boost of energy that when I go home, I have the emotional and physical capacity to deal with my daughter with patience and sabr. And basically that actually improved our relationship. So me snapping at her because I'm so tired and cranky, I'm now able to kind of like have the holding space. And that's really important. Just like as Chris mentioned, the idea that you need to fill your cup as well. And this is one thing that when we look at the seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you think about when it was his me time, right, his time alone, and his me time was tahajjud. Honestly, that's the only time he was alone or free from the responsibilities of family and community. So he filled his cup up spiritually, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through tahajjud, and that gave him a spiritual, emotional capacity to deal with the people throughout the day and not snap out or just lose his cool with people.
Probably like a couple of years ago, you'd recommend, that midday nap for people, and they, probably thought you're crazy. Now we live in this Zoom world where people work at home, and all of a sudden, they might even be working out of their guest bedroom. So taking a nap is like no problem at all.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the biggest complaint. But my company doesn't allow me to nap. I'm like, well, nowadays, no excuses. You can definitely go for 10 to a minute nap. I wish I could remove my camera. I literally have a sleeping bag in my office. So I got a sleeping bag and I actually took a nap before this call. So it just makes a huge difference. You go home feeling refreshed instead of being very tired. And it makes a huge difference to how much you can give to others.
Yeah, I've done that before. I've actually let's say I wrapped up my work at 4:30 or something, it's like, okay, I could head home a little early. And it's like, no, I'm going to take a little nap, 15 minutes. I'm going to head home at, let's say 5. But now when I get home, yes, I have half an hour less to spend. But the time I'm spending, I'm so much more energized and focused than I would have been without that nap.
100%. 100%. That's a classic CEO tip right there. For people who want to know, how does Chris do it all? Like, there you go. Just take a nap. It makes a huge difference. And again, it comes down to exercise. So managing energy, managing your focus, those things you need to apply practical realities, strategies, ways of doing it. It's not just about you expecting to have this energy. We're not machines that just can plug in, plug out. We need to rejuvenate ourselves, renew ourselves, practice those strategies, see them work, tweak those strategies. That's what it's about, inshallah.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, Imran, I know you actually are really into this as well, aren't you?
Which element of it? I'm sorry, I was looking at my.
In terms of taking care of yourself, whether it's your diet, your exercise, your sleep. I think I know you're really. I mean, I don't want to give people the impression I'm really good. I just had a coffee with peanut butter in it, but yeah,
Yeah, I learned it's interesting, Mohammed, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, but a lot of the things that are already in the Quran and Sunnah, they're becoming very popular now, and it's that trend has been going on, I would say, for about 10 years, whether it's intermittent fasting, mindfulness, right, where even yoga, right, we have some of these movements in our prayer, times of reflection, like you mentioned, tahajjud, after Fajr prayer, before Maghrib prayer, with our morning and evening remembrances. So we have a lot of these times to kind of just disconnect. And then if you look at the benefits of fasting, intermittent fasting, not overeating, and these concepts are becoming so popular nowadays, right? Where if you just avoid certain food categories, you'll see glucose levels dropping, and you'll see body weight dropping and whatnot. So I've definitely seen that changing my diet, trying to be more conscious of exercising, getting off the phone is very helpful, even to the extent I was just talking to a brother yesterday who's a gym teacher, and he's been having neck issues. And I told him, I said, how many hours a day are you using your phone, and in what position do you use your phone? So it's basically typical, neck is in flexion, and he's starting to get radiating pain. So I said, you know what, just buy one of these where you can clamp it onto your table, and your phone is at your eye level. Not to say we should be on our phones all day, but there's just such practical things that we can do to better our health. And that's what I really enjoyed about this article. You know, you mentioned two specific things: focus sessions, which actually a lot of us at launch could use to get work done. We have these focus sessions. We even have these, we call them huddles, where we'll just jump on and 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour max, we get something done in real time. And you also mentioned something really, for me at least, one key category where I struggle is blocking out time for important things. And the example you gave was community service, working with our local community. And subhanAllah, something that I've regretted since I've moved where I live now is not giving enough time to the community. And I said, after reading this article, you know what? I should just schedule this out. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
100%. Yeah, I mean, we can block it. We don't think of time blocking or blocking for work usually, or for, for maybe family or for prayers. But sometimes I think, well, what else is that I'm not doing that I would love to do more? And can I block time out for that? Things like community service, things like, for example, just sitting and doing 100 salawat or 100 istighfar. Like sometimes these things that you want to do, also you want to do, but just don't have the time, blocking that time out. So it's a powerful way to build those routines. People struggle, say, well, I don't have the time, or I'm struggling. Sit on Sunday evening or Monday morning and plan your week. And this is, I sit down like every Sunday evening, Monday morning, it's okay, how will I block my time out? Do the important stuff. Of course, you got work, got family, you got prayers, you got, different things you got to do. But then when you see those pockets of time that are normally empty, now I'm not saying, fill yourself to the brim, but ask yourself, how else can I use this time? Maybe I could think about, like I said, doing some community work here. Maybe I could sort of think about layering some activities. For example, take my family out for community service. So I'm doing family time as well as community service time. So these are different ways for you to start thinking about, so strategically how to block your time across all your roles, not just for work. We're so good at blocking time for work and for important stuff to get things done. But normally our downtime, we don't think through it. And again, I'm not saying to fill, so to block your time hour by hour that you have no time for yourself. But even your rest time should be almost like thought through. And that way you become more intentional about your rest time, more intentional about those moments where you want to do downtime. And you'll see that return on investment, whether you feel more energetic, or you feel more barakah, when you feel more that you're feeling that you're spreading yourself in a way that's more strategic, that over a lifetime adds up, inshallah.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking about, so many things for myself, but then I realize in some ways, Mohammed, we have it a lot easier than, let's say, our wives, because, you're in the office now, the kids aren't at your feet. You have maybe more structure to your day. What type of tips do you give when you're talking to mothers? And I assume through your program and Production Muslim Company, you deal a lot with working mothers, and it's got to be super hard balance. What type of advice do you give them?
It is. One is the macro, one is the micro. On the macro level, is saying this is a season you're going through, especially when the children are at the stage where they need that attention, right? Especially those first 5, 6, 7 years, right? That attention needed, and that's one of those seasons of life you go through. Now the question there is, can you get some help and support to kind of balance off those hours when you are with the kids versus someone else with the kids? And because those early stages can be very, very difficult. I know it was one entrepreneurship mother who, I know she has 4 kids. And what she did was she just set up a tent in her house. And she goes inside that tent whenever she wants to get something done. And her kids know when mama is inside the tent, no one walks in. Like, they just know.
She goes in the tent. I thought you were going to say she stick the kids in the tent.
No, she goes in the tent. And she goes, no one else comes in. And that was her strategy, right? To kind of create that space, create that solitude zone, so to speak, so you can get something done. So there are, of course, those are some techniques there. But more on the micro level, again, with mothers especially, that's where I feel like they need their productivity game to be at the best, meaning that they have to recognize when there's, what's my energy level like? If I'm super tired, I need to find some time to rest. If I don't rest, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to add up later on. If I had a bad night's sleep with the kids because the kids were up and they're throwing up and so many issues happening at night, okay, how can I need to really force myself to nap, even though I know there's a million other things I could do, but I need to force myself to nap. Being able to create weekly routines. Sometimes a lot of mothers, when we talk to them, because they're so overwhelmed, they feel like any free time they have, they got to do like 10 things at the same time and end up doing nothing. But being really strategic with those free times. Okay, can I focus on X, Y, and Z and this free time? knowing I'm saying no to all the other stuff that are pending, which I know I should be getting done. And that's really hard because they think, oh my God, I got like half an hour, the kids are out, or something's, kids in school, let me do this 10 things. But then and they don't, don't make meaningful progress on those things. Rather try to think, can you schedule those in? And also reaching a point where sometimes recognizing that some things will not get done. And as hard as it is to be okay with that. And this is where family support, family expectations, managing that and not create those this burden that we put on, especially on our families, that becomes overwhelming for them, that they're saying this is impossible. So how do you balance that? But it's 100%, you're right. It's not easy. It's definitely a challenge. That's why a big salute to all the mothers and all the wives and all the people who are out there, really making the sacrifices, making this work. And I mean, honestly, for me as a productivity researcher, I don't know how you all do it. And honestly, a big salute from all of us, because it's incredible what they get done in a day.
So I'm gonna give you I'm gonna say something from a personal level. So I'm very I come from an e-learning background, and I used to be a LMS administrator at a university, and I love absolutely what you've done with your courses, and I love how you've brought them together, and I love when somebody specializes in something and they're able to now create content based off of that and then spread that knowledge. So talk to us about the newest course, and talk to us about how you've structured it, the benefits, and where people can sign up.
Jazakallah khair. Absolutely. So we've been running something called the Productivity Masterclass the past 2 years. It's basically the culmination of the 15 years we're doing Productive Muslim and packed in a 6-week program. The idea was, initially we thought, well, how best to teach this content in a way that makes sense, in a way that's transformative, and realized that a cohort-based model where you enter the cohort with other cohort members for 6 weeks at a time, and you go week by week in a structured learning way is the best way of learning. So we cover things, for example, understanding who you are, understanding the person from the Islamic psychology perspective, because a lot of self-help is based on, basically understand human being from a Western psychology perspective. We base our work on the works of Dr. Bilal Rahman, for example. His work on Islamic psychology is very powerful. So we base our models and our work based on what is human being and who is human being from an Islamic psycho-spiritual perspective. So we start there, and then we define productivity. We talk about something called, how we approach productivity. We talk about barakah culture versus hustle culture, which is, for those of you who have not read the article, check out the article on barakah culture versus hustle culture. And then we go into the more practical stuff like managing your sleep, nutrition, and fitness, not only from the peak performance science perspective, but from a faith perspective. What does Islam say about nutrition, about exercise, about sleep? I call it the Muslim sleep paradox, right? We encourage, for example, we know that we encourage to sleep 8 hours a night, but then we hear verses of the Quran says get up and give up some sleep for worship. How do you reconcile that? So we could talk about that as well. How do you manage your focus? Not just external distractions, your phone, internet, but also internal distractions, your worries, your anxieties, your emotions, as well as life distractions, new job or moving new country, or God forbid, some kind of family situation. How do you manage those? And then we'll talk about managing not time. I actually don't like the term time management. I find it's an oxymoron. You cannot manage time, but you can manage yourself. How do you manage yourself? How do you manage your energy and focus within the time you have? And finally, we put it all together in the last session, talk about the habits and routines, and more specifically, the routine for Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So that's the package. And as a special for the Launch Good community, for Giving Tuesday community, if you go to productivemuslim.com/productivity and you register, enter the coupon code Giving Tuesday for 10% discount. The coupon code is just Giving Tuesday on productivemuslim.com/productivity. And I hope to see you there tonight. It starts tonight, by the way. It starts tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time for the next 6 weeks, inshallah.
It's a very generous offer from you, and I'll just speak as someone who works with you, Mohammed. You're the real deal. So I hope people watching this know that. The people, I'm always amazed by the talent and the quality of people that participate in these programs. CEOs from across the world, and business leaders, and young professionals trying to level up their game so they can become a CEO one day. It's quite the cohort.
Alhamdulillah. Awesome. Yeah. And I'm honest, I learn from the cohort more than I teach. So I'm really excited to meet the people who show up for these programs, and then the learning happens not just from myself, but with each other. And that's really powerful.
Just really quickly, without giving us any specific names, could you show us a quick journey of transformation? What are some examples of people who started in one of the courses, and what is the transformation that usually takes place?
I love that question. So if you go to the website, productives.com/productivity, we have a number of stories of people who joined us and actually went through this transformation, recognizing, okay, this is where we are and this is where we need to be. The biggest factor for most people when they join is they join in thinking they're learning productivity techniques, right? They go, okay, I'm gonna get things done. I'm gonna be more efficient, more productive. But they leave recognizing that the best version of themselves is to be true abd, true slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that means, how do they manage their energy, their focus, and their time to be that best abd across all their roles? And once that clicks, it just transforms how they define productivity. Productivity is not about just getting things done or being more efficient or more output over input, but it's really productivity is about making those smart choices from the moment I wake up till I sleep to be the best abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala across all my roles. And that's the transformation we hope people get from this program, inshallah.
Subhanallah. May the Most High reward you and the entire team for this amazing content you guys are putting together that is really transforming the ummah. And Chris gave the best testimony that could be given. So may Allah reward you. And Chris, I'll let you close this out. But before I do, wanted to give a shout out to Crescent Foods, who is a sponsor for our webinar today. Please go to Google and check out Crescent Foods and some of the amazing work they're doing to get food from the farm to your plate. And Chris, I'll let you close this up.
Yeah, even on that note, I was blessed to be able to enjoy Crescent Foods, like organic hand-slaughtered turkey for Thanksgiving. So I definitely encourage that. I think, I could be wrong, but I think on our Instagram we have a coupon if you do want to get some Crescent food for yourself. But yeah, hey, thank you everyone for tuning in for this Giving Tuesday. You go to launchgood.com/Giving Tuesday. A lot of crazy stuff going on. We're hoping to get to $1 million raised today. And it's going to get really wild towards the end of the day. We're giving out over $100,000 in prizes. Like Mohammed said, we try to make it really fun, innovative, creative. I'll be on Twitter. So you can find me, Arab Lava, on Twitter. I'll be tweeting all sorts of stuff throughout the day. Let's get out there. Let's be generous as a community, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.